"You arrogant black girl," the dean sneered, voice dripping poison. "You think dragging some random white lady off the street makes you some kind of hero?" Dean Linda Whitaker, ivory suit, diamond necklace, everything screaming money, ripped Maya's hospital paperwork in half and flicked the pieces into her face. "People like you are strays. You don't belong at this university." She flipped through Maya's file. "You skip exams, beg for favors, then cry racism when we hold you accountable." Maya sat frozen, 22, stunned. "I was saving her life," Maya choked out. Dried blood still stained her sky-blue scrubs, stiff and rust-colored at the seams. "Please, Dean Whitaker, I had no choice." Whitaker's smile sharpened. She grabbed Maya's scholarship folder, thick with 4 years of straight-A printouts, and casually dropped it into the trash. "Scholarship revoked. You're expelled. Take your black behind out of my office and out of my school. Go back to whatever gutter you crawled from." Maya stared at the trash can like it was a grave. Everything she'd sacrificed, double shifts, sleepless nights, missed birthdays, lay crumpled in that metal bin. Humiliation burned hot behind her eyes, but she refused to cry in front of Whitaker. She stood on shaky legs, clutching her cheap backpack like armor, and walked out without another word. 3 days earlier, none of this existed. 3 days earlier, a helicopter had not yet hammered the air above her apartment complex, and a billionaire's wife had not yet decided to burn the university's world to the ground. 72 hours earlier, Thursday, 7:23 a.m., Maya's phone alarm exploded beside her ear. "Nursing 401, final, 8 a.m., no late entry." She snapped upright on the sagging futon. 37 minutes. Her heart sprinted. She yanked on yesterday's scrubs from the chair. No time, no quarters for laundry. She shoved her textbooks into her fraying backpack and reached automatically for the one thing she never left without. An old photo of 9-year-old Maya wrapped around her mom, Camille, before pneumonia stole her. In the picture, young Maya's smile was wide enough to light up a city block. Her mom's tired eyes still sparkled. Back then, they didn't yet know that fear of hospital bills could kill as surely as any disease. "I'm gonna make it, Mom," Maya whispered to the photo now, throat tight. "Today's the last big hurdle." She kissed her fingers, pressed them to Camille's face, then bolted into the November cold. Market Street was already packed, breath misting, bus fumes hanging heavy in the air. The bus stop for Route 21 sat 2 blocks away. Maya could see the digital sign glowing through the crowd. She checked her phone. 7:34 a.m., 6 minutes. If she sprinted, she could still make it. She quickened her pace, weaving around commuters, when something pale crumpled against the pharmacy wall, snagged her attention. A woman, maybe late 50s, lay slumped sideways, white coat drenched dark, with blood streaming from her head. Her pricey leather bag was flung open, shattered iPhone glittering like broken ice beside her. People flowed around the woman as if she were invisible. A man in a suit glanced down, frowned, kept walking. A pair of college guys slowed, stared, then shrugged and passed. No one stopped. The woman's lips trembled. "Help! Please!" she rasped. Maya checked the time again, 7:34, and felt something twist in her chest. The bus, the exam, her last shot at graduation. Then she pictured Camille coughing alone, too scared of medical debt to go to the ER. Maya dropped her backpack and ran. She slid to her knees beside the woman, hands already moving. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Her voice was steady even as adrenaline roared in her ears. Weak, thready pulse, skin clammy and cold, pupils uneven, one sluggish, one blown. Classic signs of a brain bleed. Shock settling in fast. Maya shoved trembling fingers at her phone, dialing 911. "This is Maya Carter, nursing student," she rattled off. "Female, about 58, severe head trauma, possible intracranial hemorrhage. Market and 15th northwest corner. She's deteriorating." "Ambulance ETA 4 minutes," the dispatcher replied. 4 minutes. In a brain bleed, 4 minutes could be the line between life and permanent darkness. "Sir," Maya barked at a businessman lingering nearby. "Your jacket, now!" Startled, he shrugged it off, and Maya wrapped it around the woman to preserve body heat. She cradled the woman's head carefully, mindful of a possible spinal injury. "Stay with me, ma'am. What's your name?" The woman's eyelids fluttered. "Alex. Meeting Victor." "Alexandra. I'm Maya. I'm not going anywhere." Maya pressed gauze from her pocket into the wound. It soaked red instantly, then darker. Warm blood coated her hands, seeped into her scrubs. Her phone screen lit again. 7:38 a.m. Down the street, the Route 21 bus pulled up, its doors folding open with a hiss. For half a heartbeat, Maya's eyes flicked toward it. She could almost see the exam room, the future she'd spent 4 years chasing. Then she looked back at Alexandra's fading face. The bus doors shut. The bus rolled away. The ambulance screamed into view 6 long minutes later, tires shrieking as it stopped. The lead paramedic, Martinez, hopped out and dropped to his knees beside them. "What do we got?" Maya rattled off vitals, timeline, symptoms like she'd been doing it for decades. Martinez listened, scanning the woman's face, then Maya's blood-slicked hands. "You stabilized her?" he asked, impressed. "You probably bought her life. 10 more minutes, we'd be zipping a body bag." The words hit Maya like a wave. The door slammed. Sirens wailed. The ambulance rocketed away, leaving Maya alone on the sidewalk, wet blood drying tacky on her skin. Her phone buzzed violently. Notifications flooded in. From Tasha, her roommate. "Where are you?" Then, "Prof. Whitaker just locked the door." Another. "Maya, you're missing the final." Maya stared at the messages, at her ruined scrubs, at the empty bus stop. The exam had started 4 minutes ago. Her stomach dropped. But standing there in silence wouldn't change anything. She grabbed her backpack and walked toward campus. Harrison Hall towered ahead, all glass and polished brick. Maya climbed to the 4th floor, lungs burning, and reached room 402. Through the narrow window, she saw her classmates hunched over exams, pens flying. Professor Whitaker stood at the front, arms crossed. Maya knocked lightly. No response. She knocked harder. Whitaker's head snapped up, eyes locking onto Maya. She checked her watch, then deliberately looked away. Maya's knuckles pounded. Finally, the door cracked open 2 inches. "Miss Carter, you're late," Whitaker said, coolly. "Professor, there was an emergency," Maya said, words tumbling out. "A woman collapsed. Head injury. Brain bleed. I was performing compressions, calling EMS. The exam began at 8, Whitaker cut in. "It is now 8:14. Our syllabus clearly states no late entry under any circumstances. You've earned a 0. Maya blinked. "But I was literally saving someone's life." The paramedic said, "That was your personal decision," Whitaker replied. "Consequences remain. Please leave. You're disrupting the exam." The door closed firmly in Maya's face with a click. Maya stood frozen in the hallway, staring down at the flaking blood on her fingers, feeling like she'd fallen into someone else's nightmare. By the time she reached their basement apartment, Tasha was pacing grooves into the floor. "What happened?" Tasha demanded. Maya told her everything while scrubbing her hands until the water ran pink, then clear, her whole body trembling. Before she could breathe, her phone pinged. Office of the Provost. Urgent. Her stomach twisted as she opened the email and started reading. Your absence from NERS 401 final has resulted in a course grade of F, the message read. Your cumulative GPA now falls below the 3.0 required for presidential scholarship renewal. Effective immediately, your $2,800 per semester award is revoked. You have 48 hours to appeal or arrange full tuition payment, $28,000. Maya stared. Her entire bank account held $340 and some coins in a jar. Tasha grabbed her wrist. This is insane. You are saving someone's life. We challenge this. We appeal. Hard. I tried, Maya whispered. Whitaker already shut me down. Policy is policy. She mimicked the dean's icy tone. Then we go above her, Tasha insisted. President, provost, someone. Maya wiped her face with the back of her hand. With what power, T? I'm a broke black girl on scholarship. They have lawyers and buildings named after donors. I've got Raymond and overdue rent. But even as she said it, something stubborn inside wouldn't sit quietly. She set an appointment with the dean anyway. She had to try. Friday, 9 a.m. Dean Whitaker's office looked like a magazine spread. Soft leather chairs, shelves lined with awards, a Persian rug that probably cost more than Maya's entire education. Maya sat small in front of the massive desk, still in slightly stained scrubs because she hadn't had time or money to replace them. Whitaker adjusted her pearl earrings, barely glancing up. Miss Carter, you have 3 minutes. Dean Whitaker, I'm here to appeal the final, Maya began, clutching her documentation printouts with white knuckles. Denied, Whitaker said instantly. You missed your exam. That is an objective fact. Maya slid hospital notes across the desk. Paramedics documented time of incident. There's even footage. The attending wrote that my intervention significantly affected the outcome. Whitaker pushed the papers back, untouched. Personal emergencies require 24-hour notice under university policy. Maya blinked. How was I supposed to give notice? She was dying on the sidewalk. Whitaker shrugged. You had a choice. Attend your exam or play Good Samaritan. Choices have consequences. So if I'd walked past and let her die, I'd still have my scholarship, Maya asked, voice barely above a whisper. The dean's gaze hardened. You would have attended your exam. That is all that matters here. We cannot make exceptions whenever someone brings a dramatic story. Every student would demand special treatment. Maya leaned forward. This isn't a story. This is a person's life. Whitaker stood. Your appeal is denied. You must arrange tuition by Monday or you will be withdrawn. This meeting is concluded. Maya's body refused to move. The memory of Camille in her hospital bed slammed into her. Skin gray, breathing ragged, whispering she'd be fine while secretly terrified of bills. Why didn't you go sooner? 13-year-old Maya had begged. Baby, we can't afford it, Camille wheezed. 3 days later, she was gone. Pneumonia turned septic, something easily treatable if caught early. At the funeral, standing in borrowed shoes, Maya had made a silent vow. Become a nurse, so no one else died waiting. That promise was everything. That promise had dragged her through 4 ruthless years. Graveyard shifts at the diner, tutoring on weekends, sharing one sagging mattress with Tasha, surviving on instant noodles and coffee. Now it was being strangled by $28,000 she did not have. She called Grandma Ruth at the assisted living home in Baltimore. Hey, baby girl, Grandma answered, voice warm. How'd that big exam go? Maya swallowed hard. It went, "Okay, Grandma." "I knew it," Ruth chuckled. "Your mama's smiling big in heaven. My girl's about to be a nurse." Maya pressed her hand over her mouth to catch the SOB trying to claw its way out. "Love you, Grandma." "Love you more, sugar. Go out there and change the world," Ruth said, hanging up. As soon as the line went dead, Maya's shoulders shook. She let herself cry, just for a minute, silent and ugly, alone in their tiny kitchen. Then she wiped her face, grabbed her apron, and headed to her shift at the 24-hour diner. Tips meant rent. She couldn't afford to fall apart. Friday night, the diner buzzed with students and night shift workers. A middle-aged guy at the counter squinted at her name tag. "Maya Carter?" She nodded cautiously. "You're that nursing student from the news, right?" Her heart stuttered. "What news?" He pulled out his phone. Local Channel 6. "Nursing student loses scholarship after saving woman's life." Someone had filmed the ambulance scene. Maya covered in blood, barking orders, then wandering off alone. The clip had migrated to TikTok. Millions of views. Comments exploding with outrage. "This is what heroes look like," one caption read. "Universities should be ashamed." "Why is nobody helping her?" another asked. Underneath, the usual venom too. "Race card again." "Should have called 911 and minded her business." Maya's head spun. The customer slid his receipt over. On a $12 tab, he'd left a $50 tip. "You did good, kid," he said simply. Maya managed a shaky "thank you" before ducking into the walk-in freezer, pressing her forehead to the cold metal, and crying where nobody could see. Near midnight, her phone rang with an unknown number. She almost let it go to voicemail, then answered. "Miss Carter?" a deep voice asked. "This is Michael Grant, attorney for Mrs. Alexandra Kingsley, the woman you treated on Market Street. She'd like to meet you tomorrow at 10 a.m. if you're willing." Maya's heart nearly stopped. "She's okay?" "Recovering well. The neurosurgeon says your fast response was critical. Mrs. Kingsley saw the coverage. She knows what your university did. She'd like to discuss it." Maya hung up and stared at Tasha, who'd been listening with her mouth open. "That was her," Maya said faintly. "The woman I helped." Tasha grabbed her shoulders. "This is IT, Maya. Your chance. Take whatever help she offers." Maya shook her head. "I didn't help her for a reward." "I know that," Tasha said. "But maybe the universe is finally sending something good your way. You don't have to suffer to prove you're the good guy." Maya wasn't sure hope was safe anymore. Saturday morning, their mailbox coughed up another blow. An eviction notice slipped under the door. "Rent overdue, $850. Pay by Wednesday or vacate Sunday." Maya sat on the futon, staring at the cheap paper like it might morph into a check if she glared hard enough. She ran the numbers again. Tuition, $28,000. Rent, $850. Bank account, $390 after tips. Everything still screamed impossible. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Look outside." Tasha frowned. "Creepy. You expecting anyone?" Maya shook her head. They peered out the window just as the sound hit, a low pounding thrum that grew into a physical vibration. People in the courtyard pointed upward. "Is that a helicopter?" someone shouted. The sleek black chopper descended, blades churning trash into spirals. Along the side, gold letters gleamed, Kingsley Foundation. Mrs. Rodriguez from 2B clutched her rosary, whispering prayers. The helicopter settled, skids kissing cracked asphalt. The door swung open and Alexandra Kingsley stepped out. Blonde hair pulled back, head bandaged, coat perfectly tailored despite the injury. Behind her walked a man in an immaculate suit holding a leather briefcase embossed Grant and Associates. Alexandra scanned the crowd until her gaze found Maya's pale face in the window. Their eyes locked. Alexandra nodded once, like a promise, and headed straight toward the building entrance. A knock rattled the apartment door moments later. Maya opened it with shaking hands. Alexandra stood framed in the doorway like she belonged in a different universe. "Maya Carter?" she asked softly. Maya could only nod. "May we come in?" Maya stepped aside, painfully aware of every chipped tile and mismatched thrift store chair. The room smelled faintly of burnt coffee and instant noodles. The only decoration was that single taped-up photo of her and Camille. Alexandra's gaze swept the space slowly, not with disgust, but with quiet assessment. Her eyes paused on the photo. "You have your mother's smile," she said gently. "Why are you here?" Maya blurted. Alexandra turned back. "Because 3 days ago, you saved my life. Then I learned what it cost you." "How?" Maya asked, cheeks burning. "The news, the TikTok clips, the comments," Alexandra said. "I called the university myself, spoke with your dean, Whittaker." Maya's shoulders tensed. "Then you know I'm glad you're okay, but you really didn't have to come." Alexandra exhaled. "Maya, do you know who I am?" "You're the woman I helped. That's enough," Maya said. Alexandra gave a rueful smile. "My name is Alexandra Kingsley. My husband Victor founded Kingsley Technologies. We control a rather large charitable foundation. We have resources." Michael snapped open his briefcase and slid out a folder. "We requested your records," Alexandra said. "With your consent, of course." Maya hesitated, then nodded. Her transcripts, emails, scholarship paperwork, it was all there. "Whittaker denied your appeal in 42 seconds, Michael explained. "She never even opened the documentation you provided." Maya's jaw clenched. "She told me policy was policy." Alexandra's eyes flashed. "When I asked her to reconsider, she said, and I quote, 'We don't bend rules for dramatic rescue stories.' She turned my survival into entertainment." Maya's hands curled into fists. "She called saving your life a dramatic rescue story." Alexandra leaned forward. "So here's what I'm offering. You don't want charity? Fine. I don't like charity either. I want justice." Maya blinked. "Justice how?" Michael spread more papers on the coffee table. "We dig in. We look at data. We see who gets flexibility and who gets punished. We file complaints if necessary. We go public if we have to. We make it so no one can quietly erase what you did." Maya looked from the eviction notice to the email about her scholarship, then to the faded photo of Camille. "And if I say no?" she asked. Alexandra's voice softened but stayed firm. "Then we do nothing beyond covering your tuition and moving on." Maya shook her head. "I didn't help you for money." "I know," Alexandra said, eyes bright with something like pride. "But think of the next student in your position. With your permission, we fight publicly, loudly, legally. We force them to change the rules." Michael tapped another file. "We've already started," he said. "Over the past 5 years, your university denied 52 requests for emergency accommodations. 43 of those students were people of color. That's 83%. Of the 9 white students denied on paper, 6 quietly received informal makeups off the record." Maya's stomach turned. "So they help white students under the table, but punish everyone else officially." Alexandra's jaw tightened. "Not just ignore," Michael added, "actively penalize. It's textbook discriminatory enforcement, and now you're their most visible example." He slid printouts of meeting minutes and emails across the table. "Faculty meeting last winter," he read. White student misses exam after a car accident. Note, we should show grace. Everyone deserves compassion. 3 weeks later, black student misses exam for an apartment fire evacuation. Note, we can't set precedents. Policy is policy. Same rule, different application. Alexandra pulled out earbuds connected to Michael's laptop. We have recordings, too. Professors praising one student as resilient while labeling another irresponsible for the same situation. It's a pattern. Maya's hands shook as she flipped through the evidence. I really thought it was just me, she whispered. Like maybe I was unlucky or overreacting. Alexandra shook her head. You're not alone. You're just the first with someone stubborn and wealthy enough to shine a spotlight on it. Michael closed the laptop. Our recommendation: don't ask for a special exception. Demand systemic reform. New policies to protect all students. Independent review of old cases. And yes, your scholarship reinstated plus damages. Otherwise, we escalate. They'll never agree, Maya said automatically. Alexandra's smile went razor sharp. Then we make the cost of saying no higher than the cost of fixing it. Michael dialed a number on speaker. University President Robert Kane came the smooth greeting. Dr. Kane, this is Michael Grant, attorney for Alexandra Kingsley and Maya Carter, he said. We're calling about the revocation of Miss Carter's scholarship after she saved Mrs. Kingsley's life. We have documentation and serious concerns about your emergency absence policies. Kane's tone cooled. Student privacy laws. Dean Whitaker already discussed the case with us at length, Michael interrupted. We have hospital records, paramedic statements, photographs of life-saving intervention. This merits reconsideration. Kane sighed. Our policies are clear. We can't start making exceptions every time someone has a tragic narrative. Michael's voice sharpened. I'm also speaking for the Kingsley Foundation, which has donated nearly $50 million to your institution. Mrs. Kingsley is the patient Miss Carter saved. She's disturbed by how your staff treated her rescuer. Kane paused. I see. We appreciate Mrs. Kingsley's recovery, Kane continued quickly. We're always happy to reevaluate procedures internally. Michael didn't soften. Mrs. Kingsley is suspending all future donations until this is resolved. Additionally, we are preparing a Title GEC civil rights complaint over discriminatory enforcement of your absence policy. We have 5 years of data showing racial bias. Papers rustled on the other end. Kane's polished tone cracked. That's an extremely serious allegation. It's an extremely serious pattern, Michael replied. Reinstate Maya's scholarship. Implement. Reforms. Review. Past denials. 72 hours. Or, Kane asked quietly. Or we do this publicly, Michael said, with federal investigators watching and national media already interested. He ended the call. Alexandra leaned back, exhaling. Now we wait, she said. They didn't wait long. Someone leaked the story. The Philadelphia Inquirer headline screamed, Student loses scholarship after saving billionaire's wife. Cable news picked it up next. University under fire over heartless policy, crawled under Maya's stunned face. University social media pages turned into war zones, flooded with furious comments and hashtags. Maya's TikTok, once random dance trends and study tips, exploded. Overnight, she gained hundreds of thousands of followers. The ambulance video racked up 8 million views. Strangers stitched it, calling her the nurse we all hope for, tagging the university, demanding answers. But along with support came bile. She's milking this. Play stupid games, miss your exam, cry racism. Bet she staged it. After a few hours, the words began to blur together like noise. Maya shut off notifications, heart racing, fingers numb. She couldn't keep reading. President Kane released a polished statement. We are carefully reviewing Miss Carter's case and our attendance policies to ensure fairness for all students. We value her courageous actions and welcome dialogue with the Kingsley Foundation. No apology, no concrete fix, just PR gloss. Behind closed doors, the Board of Trustees gathered in a paneled conference room. You've created a nightmare, Trustee Margaret Reynolds snapped at Whitaker. A billionaire withholding $50 million. Students protesting, reporters calling us racist. Explain yourself. Whitaker folded her arms. I followed policy. On paper, muttered Trustee Howard Langford. Public doesn't care about policy nuance. They see a hero punished. Margaret jabbed a finger at a stack of clippings. Fix it. Offer her scholarship back. Whitaker stiffened. If we reverse, we look weak. Every student will expect latitude. Our standards will crumble. Margaret gave her a look of pure disbelief. Then maybe our policy is the problem, she said. Silence fell. Finally, Kane sighed. Patricia, contact Miss Carter. Offer a makeup exam quietly. Get an NDA. Make this disappear. Whitaker's lips curled. Of course, she called Maya that afternoon, voice honey-sweet. Miss Carter, after further reflection, we're prepared to offer you a makeup examination, she said. Maya's heart leapt against her ribs. When? Friday, Whitaker replied. However, there are conditions. You'll sign a non-disclosure agreement. Refrain from speaking to media. Accept this as full and final resolution. Assuming you pass, the committee will consider reinstating your scholarship. Consider? Maya repeated. You'd review the matter, Whitaker clarified, but we must insist this situation no longer create complications. You want me quiet, Maya said flatly. I want you to move on and finish your degree, Whitaker countered. If you refuse, the original decision stands. You'll be expelled, and with a failed course and disciplinary notes, other schools may be reluctant to accept you. The threat hung heavy. Translation: take the gag order or kiss nursing goodbye everywhere. Maya ended the call without agreeing. She stared at the unsigned NDA in her inbox. Accept silence and maybe survive, or speak up and risk losing everything. Tasha found her still at the table, laptop open, eyes glassy. What's wrong? She asked. Maya turned the screen so she could read. They offered a makeup. If I sign this, she said, promise never to talk about any of it again. Tasha read quickly, jaw tightening. This is hush money wrapped in legalese? What are you going to do? Maya looked at the eviction notice, the tuition bill, the bills stacked on the counter. If I sign, I get my degree, she whispered. If I don't, you get to sleep at night, Tasha said softly, and maybe stop this from happening again. Maya thought about the 52 denied students, the ones who never got news coverage or helicopters. She called Alexandra. They offered me a deal, she said. Makeup exam if I stay silent forever. Will you take it? Alexandra asked gently. What happens if I refuse? Then we push harder, Alexandra replied. We go louder. They'll come for your reputation, question your character, try to break you. It will get uglier. And if I sign? Maya asked. You get your degree and can walk away, Alexandra said. No one with a conscience would blame you. The system is built to crush individuals. Maya closed her eyes. She saw her 13-year-old self standing over Camille's coffin, promising to help people no matter what it cost. She saw the comments from other students online. sharing their own stories of being dismissed. Her pulse steadied. "I'm not signing," she said. Silence, then Alexandra's voice, fierce and proud. "Then we fight." They scheduled a press conference for Monday morning at the Kingsley Foundation. Maya nearly backed out twice. On the day, cameras, microphones, and news vans packed the courtyard. Alexandra stepped to the podium, Maya trembling at her side. "3 weeks ago, nursing student Maya Carter saved my life," Alexandra began, voice ringing clear. "I suffered a brain aneurysm and collapsed on a crowded street. Many walked past. Maya didn't. She missed her final exam, her scholarship, her future, her promise to her late mother, and she saved me." The crowd fell silent. In response, Alexandra continued, the University of Pennsylvania expelled her. "When I started asking why, I discovered more than one bad call. I uncovered a system that grinds up students of color while quietly protecting others." She looked straight into a camera. "Bleeding on that sidewalk, I realized something. Kindness should never cost more than cruelty. At that university, it does." She announced the Compassionate Action Scholarship, $10 million for students punished for helping others. "Maya will be our first recipient," she said. "But she won't be the last," Alexandra added. "We're demanding policy changes, so no student has to choose between saving a life and saving their future." A reporter shouted, "Are you suing the university?" Alexandra didn't flinch. "Not yet," she said. "But if they refuse to act, absolutely." She stepped back. Maya forced her feet toward the microphones, palms slick. "I didn't help Mrs. Kingsley for money," she said, voice shaking but loud enough. "I helped because she was dying. That's what nurses are supposed to do." "If this university thinks that was wrong," Maya continued, looking straight at the cameras, "then I don't want to be part of any system that teaches students to walk past people bleeding on the ground." The words hit like a spark in dry grass. By Wednesday, and justice for Maya trends surged across platforms. Interview requests flooded in from morning shows and national outlets. Alumni posted videos vowing not to donate another cent unless the school fixed this. "Expel the dean, not the hero," read one viral sign outside campus gates. Thursday morning, more than 200 students walked out of classes. They gathered on the quad, holding handmade signs. "Kindness isn't a crime. We stand with Maya. Policy justice." Professor Maria Rivera from the nursing program grabbed a megaphone. "We teach our students to prioritize saving lives," she shouted. "Then this university punishes Maya for doing exactly that. That's hypocrisy." The crowd roared. Over 40 professors signed an open letter demanding reforms. The Pennsylvania NAACP weighed in, calling the situation a disturbing example of systemic discrimination. Michael released a detailed report online titled 5 Years of Denial: How a Fair Policy Harmed Students of Color. It included charts, anonymized quotes, and excerpts from internal emails. The article went viral within hours. Kane scrambled, issuing another statement. "We are committed to equity," it read. "We've initiated an independent review and remain deeply grateful for Miss Carter's heroic actions." Again, no apology, no concrete steps. The board scheduled an emergency meeting for Monday and invited Maya to speak. The thought made her stomach twist. Friday evening, Alexandra found Maya pacing holes into the apartment floor, breathing too fast, hands shaking. "I can't do this," Maya whispered, as soon as Alexandra walked in. "Everybody's watching. What if I mess up? What if I say the wrong thing and they use it against me? What if nothing changes And this was all for nothing. Alexandra sat beside her on the futon and took her hand. "Maya, look at me," she said calmly. "You already did the hardest thing. You stopped when everyone else walked by. Everything since then is just noise," Alexandra said. "Breathe." She inhaled slowly, and Maya copied her. In, out, in, out. "What if they don't change anything?" Maya asked, voice small. "Then we tried," Alexandra answered. "Trying matters. You've already inspired more people than you realize." She squeezed Maya's hand. "But I think they will change. Too many eyes are on them now. They can't hide behind policy forever." Maya wanted desperately to believe her. Monday, she'd stand in front of people who held her future in their hands. Friday afternoon, Whitaker decided she was done playing defense. She requested Maya's full academic file and sank her teeth in. 4 years of grades, notes, emails. She scoured everything, searching for flaws to twist. Sophomore year, a paper turned in 12 hours late after Grandma Ruth was hospitalized. The professor had granted an extension. Whitaker scribbled, "Pattern of disregard for deadlines." Junior year, Maya politely challenged an exam question. The instructor later admitted the wording was ambiguous and changed the key. "Argumentative with faculty," Whitaker wrote. Freshman year, a parking ticket issued to a car Maya didn't own, later dismissed. Whitaker still jotted down disrespect for rules. She summoned carefully chosen faculty and asked carefully slanted questions. "Describe Miss Carter's classroom demeanor," she prompted Professor Collins. "Assertive," he said. "Thoughtful, sometimes pushes the material." Whitaker wrote aggressive and confrontational. "Did she ever request special treatment?" Whitaker pressed. "She once asked for more diverse case studies," Collins replied. Said representation mattered. Whitaker summarized it as demands accommodations, focuses on identity politics. By Monday morning, she'd compiled 20 pages of so-called concerns about Maya's character. She scheduled an academic standards review and loaded the panel with sympathetic faces, all without informing Maya it would be formal. No mention of a hearing, no suggestion she bring support. "Let's see how your billionaire friend helps you now," Whitaker murmured. Maya arrived thinking it was a routine check-in. She walked into the conference room and froze. 5 people sat behind a long table. Whitaker, 3 professors, and a university attorney. "What is this?" she whispered. Maya set her phone on the table face down, fingers still trembling. Whitaker opened a thick folder with her name on it. "Miss Carter, you've shown a pattern of concerning behavior," she began. "What behavior?" Maya asked. "Multiple late assignments, challenging instructor judgment, unpaid campus citations, repeated requests for special treatment." Maya blinked. "That paper was late because my grandmother was in the hospital." "We're not debating each incident," Whitaker replied crisply. "We're looking at the pattern." "What pattern? I have a 3.8 GPA. The university attorney leaned in, voice smooth as glass. "Academic performance isn't the only factor we consider. Character and professionalism are equally important." The room tilted around Maya. Professor Collins cleared his throat. "I've had Miss Carter in 2 classes," he said. "She's intelligent, but often combative. She challenges test questions, grading, even curriculum. There's a certain air of entitlement." Maya stared. "Entitlement?" Her voice cracked. "I asked for case studies that actually included Black patients. Your textbook erased us. You demanded course changes based on your personal ideology," Collins replied stiffly. "I requested better training so I can care for real patients," Maya shot back. Whitaker lifted a hand. Miss Carter, watch your tone. This kind of defensiveness is exactly what we're talking about. Maya looked around the table. 5 white faces, all judging. No allies, no neutral ground. This wasn't a conversation. It was an execution dressed up as procedure. She suddenly understood. The verdict had been written before she walked in. Whitaker leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "We're prepared to offer you an option," she said. "You can voluntarily withdraw. We'll close your file with a neutral notation. Personal reasons. That allows you to apply elsewhere without this complication." Maya's throat tightened. "You want me to walk away," she said. "We want to handle this discreetly and professionally," the attorney corrected. "And if I refuse?" Maya asked. Whitaker's smile turned thin and dangerous. "Then we proceed with formal dismissal for conduct violations. Those will follow you," the lawyer added calmly. "On background checks, transfer applications, licensure. You'll be flagged as a disciplinary dismissal. Most nursing programs won't touch that." Blood pounded in Maya's ears. "You're trying to blackmail me," she whispered. "We're giving you a dignified exit," the attorney replied. "The board hearing is in 6 hours regardless." Maya swallowed. "This is retaliation." "This is standard review," Whitaker said flatly. "The timing is unfortunate coincidence." Her expression said she didn't believe that for a second. "You have 24 hours. Sign the voluntary withdrawal, or we move ahead with formal termination. This meeting is adjourned." Chairs scraped. The panel stood. Maya forced her legs to work, grabbed her phone, and stumbled into the hallway. Air finally hit her lungs. 3 missed calls from Alexandra glowed on her screen. She dialed back. "Maya, where are you?" Alexandra demanded. "They ambushed me," Maya said, voice shaking. "They built this fake case, made me sound like a problem student. If I don't quit, they'll expel me for conduct and wreck my future." Silence hummed on the line. Then Alexandra's voice dropped, icy. "Where exactly are you?" "Outside Whitaker's office," Maya said. "Stay put. I'm sending Michael over. Don't sign anything. Don't reply to any emails. Do you hear me? Nothing." Maya nodded, even though Alexandra couldn't see. "Maya," Alexandra added, voice fierce, "they just turned a bad situation into something catastrophic for themselves." After the call, Maya sank onto a bench outside admin. Students drifted by, whispering, sneaking glances. Her phone buzzed again. Grandma Ruth. "Huh?" "Hey, Grandma," Maya answered, trying to steady her voice. "Baby, I saw you on TV," Ruth said, pride spilling through the speaker. "My girl's a hero." "Grandma, I can't—" Maya's throat slammed shut. "What's wrong?" Ruth asked softly. The words tumbled out. How they'd cornered her, threatened her, told her to either resign quietly or be branded trouble forever. Ruth went quiet for a long moment. "You know what your mama used to tell me," she said slowly. "The right thing and the easy thing are rarely the same." "She said that right before she passed," Ruth continued. "She knew she should have gone to the hospital sooner." "At least I can tell Maya I tried," she told me. Tears spilled down Maya's face. "I don't know if I can keep trying, Grandma. I'm so tired." "Then stop," Ruth said gently. "I won't love you any less. You've carried more than anyone should. You can't fix the whole world by breaking yourself." "What about the other students?" Maya whispered. "Whatever you decide," Ruth said. "I'm proud." After they hung up, Maya sat motionless, split down the middle. One half of her wanted to sign, transfer quietly, rebuild some ordinary life. The other half sounded like Camille, like Grandma, like 9-year-old Maya at a graveside promising to fight. "Not yet," that voice said. "Don't fold yet." 15 minutes later, Michael strode down the hallway, briefcase swinging. "Tell me everything," he said, sitting beside her. Maya walked him through the review, the threats, the fake pattern. Michael's jaw hardened. "This is intimidation, plain and simple," he said. "They're trying to scare you out of testifying tonight. It wouldn't survive real legal scrutiny, but they're gambling you won't push it that far." "Can they actually kick me out?" Maya asked. "Technically, they can try," Michael replied. "But to uphold it, they'd need real misconduct, not twisted half-truths. Most of what Whitaker listed wouldn't last 5 minutes in front of a neutral arbitrator." Maya stared at the floor. "What am I supposed to do?" Michael studied her. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. Maya thought of Camille whispering from a hospital bed, of Alexandra stepping out of a helicopter, of every nameless student who never got a camera on their story. "I want to fight," she said finally. Michael nodded once. "Then we fight." Across town, in a glass-walled penthouse, Alexandra sat with her husband Victor, going over Michael's report. "They're trying to crush her," she said, voice shaking with anger. "They're inventing offenses and dangling her future over a cliff." Victor looked up, reading the lines on her face. "This is ugly," he said. "Maybe we should consider backing off." Alexandra's eyes snapped to him. "Let them win?" "I'm saying maybe Maya's been through enough," he replied. "We lit the fuse on this. I've watched you spend 3 decades writing checks, funding scholarships, sitting on boards, believing it mattered." "You think it didn't?" she asked. "I think it made us feel better," he said softly. "The machine stayed the same. It just learned better PR." Alexandra turned toward the floor-to-ceiling windows, city lights burning below. "If I walk away now, what was the point of her pulling me back from the edge?" she said. "What do you do when someone literally gives you more time?" Victor asked quietly. Alexandra picked up her phone. "Something I should have done years ago," she said. She dialed. "Michael, it's Alexandra. Release everything. The full data set, the audio clips, every case from the last 5 years. No summaries. The whole ugly truth." Michael hesitated. "Alexandra, that's the nuclear option. Once it's out, there's no going." "Good," she cut in. "I'm not trying to get invited back into their boardrooms. I want to tear down every structure that lets people like Whitaker thrive. Do it." She hung up and looked at Victor. "I'm done being polite," she said. At 3 p.m. Monday, Michael hit send on a massive report to every major outlet. Equal on paper, how one university's fair rules punish students of color. It was devastating. 68 denied accommodation requests over 5 years. 82% from students of color. White students received informal, undocumented flexibility at 6 times the rate. Average turnaround on denials: under a day for students of color, over 3 days for white students. Audio of faculty using coded, biased language. Screenshots of conflicting emails. The story detonated. CNN splashed, "New audio reveals disparities at elite university." MSNBC ran segments on systemic bias in higher ed. Clips of professors talking about good families versus needing to learn responsibility went viral. One recording played side by side. "He's a good kid, solid background. Let's help him out." About a white student missing an exam for a family vacation. "She needs to learn accountability. We can't keep bending rules." About a black student missing class for her grandmother's funeral. Social media lost its mind. "This isn't feelings, this is proof," one tweet read. "For everyone who said Maya was playing the race card, listen to this." Phone lines at the university overloaded. Kane's office drowned in furious calls and emails. By 4 p.m., students were already mobilizing. It started with the nursing cohort, Maya's own classmates, plus professors who'd quietly seethed for years. They walked out mid-lecture, hauling signs they'd made at warp speed. "We are all Maya. Nurses don't step over bodies. Compassion policy." Pre-med joined them, then political science, education, law students. By 4:30, nearly 800 students crammed onto the steps of the administration building. Professor Rivera grabbed a megaphone and raised it high, her voice turning the crowd into a storm. "We train these students to put lives first," she shouted. "Then this institution punishes Maya for living that value. That's hypocrisy." The crowd roared. "The data shows what black students have been saying for years. This system is rigged. Policy is just another word for discrimination." "Justice for Maya," they chanted as news choppers hovered overhead, filming the sea of signs. Inside, panic reigned. Kane watched from an upper window, face ashen. "Sir, the trustees called an emergency session," an aide said. "Half an hour." Kane nodded woodenly. "How did we lose control this fast?" he muttered. Out on the lawn, Alexandra stood near the back, sunglasses on, watching the wave of students surge. Maya stood beside her, overwhelmed, eyes wide, shoulders hunched. "I never wanted all this," Maya whispered. "I just wanted to pass my class." "You're not the center anymore," Alexandra said gently. "Look." She swept a hand toward the crowd. "This is about every student they steamrolled. You just lit the flare so everyone could see." Kesha Williams from the NYDACP elbowed through the bodies, phone pressed to her ear, tablet under her arm. "Alexandra," she said, slightly out of breath. "Education Department just opened a formal Title SIG investigation. The university has 30 days to respond, or they risk federal sanctions and loss of funding." Alexandra blinked. "That quick?" "The data was airtight, and the media heat is blazing," Kesha said. She turned to Maya. "How are you holding up?" "I don't know," Maya admitted. "They tried to force me out this morning. They said they'd brand me conduct dismissed if I didn't sign," Maya continued. Kesha's expression hardened. "That's textbook retaliation against a complainant," she said. "We can file a separate complaint just for that." Maya sagged. "I just want to finish my degree and work in a hospital," she said. "That's exactly what we're going to help you do," Kesha replied. She tapped her tablet. Board hearing moved up to 7 p.m. They're trying to stem the bleeding. "Maya, they need to hear from you again. One more time." Maya stared at the huge crowd, the homemade posters with her name, the live streams glowing on phones. "I can't do this by myself," she whispered. "You're not by yourself," Alexandra said, squeezing her arm. "That's the entire point." Upstairs, the trustees filed into a wood-paneled conference room. Margaret Reynolds slammed Michael's report onto the table. 82%, she said. "How did we miss this?" "We trusted Whitaker's assurances," Langford said defensively. "She insisted everything was race-neutral." "Well, she was either lying or incompetent," Margaret shot back. "Morrison Whitaker is suspended," Kane said, voice tight. "Effective 2 hours ago." The room went silent. "You suspended the dean without bringing it to us first?" Langford demanded. "We had no choice," Kane replied. "Reporters are circling. DOE is investigating. Donors are freezing funds. We are leaking money and legitimacy." Trustee Daniel Foster leaned forward. "Public hearing in 90 minutes. What's the strategy?" Kane's shoulders sagged. "We offer full reinstatement for Maya, a formal apology, temporary freeze on the current policy, and an independent review. That's capitulation, Langford snapped. We're letting activists run the university. That's survival, Margaret countered. We have no bargaining power. The numbers are out. The audio is out. Either we move first or get crushed in court and the press. Langford's cheeks reddened. Dangerous precedent, he muttered. The dangerous precedent is what we've already tolerated, Margaret said. Punishing students of color for things we excuse in white students. That ends tonight. Kane swallowed. We vote, he said. All in favor of full reinstatement and immediate suspension of the current policy? 8 hands rose. 3 remained stubbornly down, Langford and 2 allies. The motion passed anyway. Kane felt no relief, only dread. This would be the first step in a long public reckoning. Meanwhile, Maya sat in a side room near the auditorium, trying not to hyperventilate. Alexandra sat on one side, Michael on the other, Tasha perched at her feet. I'm going to blank, Maya whispered. My mind's going to go totally empty. You don't need a polished speech, Alexandra said. You just need honesty. That's enough. What if honesty doesn't change anything, Maya asked. Then we'll still have shaken foundations, Alexandra replied, and that matters. But I think it will change things. Too many people are watching. A knock sounded. A university official poked his head in. It's time, he said. Maya stood on unsteady legs. Tasha grabbed her hand. Hey, she said. Remember, Grandma? Go change the world. Maya exhaled shakily and followed them into the packed auditorium. Every seat was filled. Students stood along walls. Cameras and phones pointed at the stage. The trustees sat behind a long table under harsh lights, 12 faces arranged like a jury. Langford gripped the microphone. This emergency hearing is now in session, he announced. We're here to address concerns about our emergency attendance policy and Miss Maya Carter's case. We're committed to transparency. A voice from the audience shouted, Justice for Maya! The room erupted with the chant. It took nearly 2 full minutes for the noise to die down. We'll hear from multiple parties, Langford said. I ask everyone to remain civil. University Counsel William Brennan stepped up first, suit immaculate, expression controlled. Our policies are applied uniformly to all students, he began. Miss Carter's situation, while unfortunate, does not prove systemic discrimination. Every student is measured against the same standards. A slide flashed on the projector. 12 approved emergency accommodations in the past year. This demonstrates... How many denied? Keisha called from the aisle. Brennan hesitated. That's beyond the scope of... Answer the question, she insisted. Ms. Williams, please wait for your turn, Langford snapped. 68, Kesha said loudly anyway, facing the students. 68 denials. 82% for students of color. Those are the numbers they didn't put on the slide. The crowd exploded again. Brennan's carefully rehearsed arguments dissolved. He sat down, jaw tight. Alexandra walked slowly to the podium. The room hushed as if someone had turned down a volume knob. She looked small against the wooden lectern. Simple black slacks, white blouse. The faint scar still visible along her hairline. She wrapped her fingers around the edges and began. My name is Alexandra Kingsley, she said. 3 weeks ago, I was lying on a Philadelphia sidewalk with blood in my hair and a ticking bomb in my skull. Every eye locked onto her. I had a brain aneurysm. I collapsed. Dozens of people stepped around me, checked their phones, kept moving like I was a broken piece of sidewalk. And then Maya stopped. Her voice wavered, then steadied. She missed the final exam that determined her scholarship, her degree, her promise to her mother. And she stayed. She saved my life, Alexandra continued. Doctors told me I had maybe 15 minutes before irreversible damage. Brain bleeds, don't wait. Maya bought me those minutes. She scanned the board members one by one. And this university punished her for it. She lifted Michael's report. When I started digging, I learned Maya's case wasn't one bad decision. It was a symptom. 82% of denied emergency requests belong to students of color. Same policies, different enforcement. That's not fairness. That's discrimination wrapped in academic language. She let the number hang in the air. Here's what bleeding on that sidewalk taught me, she said. Compassion should never cost more than cruelty. At this university, it does. It costs scholarships, transcripts, futures. Her eyes blazed. So I'm not asking, I'm insisting. Reinstate Maya immediately. Halt your current policy. Re-examine every denial from the last 5 years. Build an independent oversight panel with real student power. And if you don't, she paused. The Kingsley Foundation pulls every dollar, 50 million current, 100 million planned. Gone. Gasps rippled through the room. And I will personally bankroll legal challenges to every biased decision we can find, Alexandra finished. She stepped away. The auditorium exploded in applause. Students surged toward the microphones set up in the aisles. One by one, they told their own stories. I'm Maria Gonzalez Jr. Pre-Med, one student said. I missed an organic chem final to donate bone marrow to my little sister. 8 weeks notice, letters from doctors, denied, failed, pre-med, dream gone. Her voice shook, but she kept speaking. I'm Tyler Anderson, another student said, senior sociology. I was 5 minutes late to an exam because I stopped a guy from jumping off the library roof. Security wrote it up. Professors still locked the door. I failed the class, had to stay an extra semester. Lost my job offer. Then a pale-haired woman stepped up. I'm Ashley Monroe, Senior. I need to say something. She swallowed hard. I'm white. Junior year, I missed an exam for a family emergency. No paperwork. My professor emailed, take it anytime. No forms, no penalties, Ashley continued. I didn't know other people weren't getting the same chance until Maya's story blew up. That's privilege. I walked through a door that wasn't even visible to them. Her confession hit the room harder than any accusation. More students followed. Black, Latino, Asian, first gen, each story fitting into a pattern no one could deny anymore. Finally, it was Maya's turn. She stood, legs trembling, and walked to the mic. 500 people stared. Live streams hummed. The board waited, eyes unreadable. Maya gripped the podium. At first, no sound emerged. The tech crew nudged the volume up. I never wanted any of this, she said quietly. I just wanted to be a nurse. Her voice carried anyway. My mom, Camille, died when I was 9. Pneumonia, turned septic because she was scared of the bill. I watched her fade because we were poor. Tears glittered, but she didn't stop. At her funeral, I promised I'd become a nurse, so no one else would die waiting. When I saw Mrs. Kingsley on that sidewalk, I saw my mother, Maya said. I saw every person who gets ignored because people are late, busy, afraid of getting involved. Her voice steadied. I knew I'd miss my exam. I knew exactly what it might cost, but I cannot live with myself in a world where my grade matters more than someone's heartbeat. She looked directly at the board. If that's what this university teaches, that walking past a dying person is the smart move, then I don't belong here. She took a breath. But this stopped being about me a long time ago, she said. I'm standing here for Maria, who tried to save her sister, for Tyler, who pulled someone off a ledge, for every student you punished for having a conscience." She fixed her gaze on Langford. "Fix your policy. Not for me. I'll figure my life out. Fix it for everyone who comes after us. Because if you don't, you're telling students to choose their GPA over human beings. And if that's your lesson," she finished, "then this place doesn't deserve to call itself an institution of learning." Maya stepped back. The room erupted, students on their feet, cheering, some crying openly, faculty clapping despite themselves, a few trustees blinking back emotion. Maya's knees threatened to buckle. Alexandra rushed forward and wrapped an arm around her. "You did it," she whispered. "It was exactly what needed to be said." Langford banged his gavel, shouting for order. "5-minute recess," he called. "The board will deliberate." Margaret stood before he could move. "No," she said into the mic. "We vote now, in public." "That's not our usual," Langford started. "Our usual process is what got us here," Margaret snapped. "I move for immediate suspension of the current emergency policy and full reinstatement of Maya Carter's scholarship." "Second," Daniel Foster said instantly. Langford looked like he'd swallowed glass. Cameras zoomed in. Students leaned forward, phones raised high. "All in favor?" Margaret asked. One by one, hands went up. 9. Opposed? 2 stayed down. The motion passed. The auditorium shook with applause. Kane stepped to the microphone, face drained. "Effective immediately," he said. "The University of Pennsylvania is suspending its existing emergency attendance policy. We will implement a compassionate action protocol. Students who miss academic obligations while assisting in verified emergencies will receive accommodations by default." The cheers were deafening. "We're also forming an independent review panel, majority students and faculty, to re-examine all past denials from the last 5 years," he continued. "And we extend our apology to Miss Carter and all students harmed by past practices. Maya," he added, turning toward her, "your full scholarship is reinstated, with back pay for expenses." Maya sat there, stunned as the room blurred. It was over. Not just a private compromise, but written into policy. Later, in a quiet side room, Maya and Alexandra sank onto a couch, finally alone. "You changed the system," Alexandra said softly. Maya shook her head. "We did," she replied. "You landed the helicopter. You saved my life," Alexandra cut in. "Everything after that was me trying to catch up." After a pause, Alexandra added, "The board asked me to join as a trustee to help oversee reforms." Maya's face lit. "That's perfect," she said. "You know what to look for." Alexandra smiled sadly. "I told them no." Maya stared. "Why?" "Because I've spent 30 years on boards," Alexandra said. "I sat in polished rooms, signed checks, and told myself that meant change. But the machine stayed the same. Real transformation doesn't come from billionaires supervising in comfort. It comes from people who actually live the consequences." She took Maya's hand. "So the Kingsley Foundation is launching something new. 50 million for legal support, scholarships, and advocacy," Alexandra said. "Run by students and impacted communities, not just people like me." Maya's eyes filled again. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," Alexandra said. "Which is why I'm asking you to sit on its board. Equal vote. Not as charity, but as leadership." Maya swallowed hard. "Yes," she said. "Absolutely yes." Alexandra smiled. "Good, because we've got a lot of work ahead." Spring semester, Maya walked into nursing ethics, now taught by a young professor, Dr. Wilson, whose eyes sparked with idealism. "Today we're talking about real-world moral choices," he said. "Miss Carter, you lived through one of the most public ethical dilemmas we've seen. Would you share?" Every head turned. Maya hesitated, then spoke. "It didn't feel like a dilemma," she said. "Someone was dying. I stopped. That's the job." "But it cost you," Wilson said. "It almost did," Maya replied. "It cost me sleep and sanity, but not my humanity. If I'd walked past Mrs. Kingsley, I might have kept my scholarship," Maya continued, "but I would have failed myself." The room went quiet. A student raised a hand. "Do you regret anything?" they asked. Maya smiled slowly. "Not for a second," she said. Weeks later, Tyler sat in a statistics final when his phone buzzed. Little brother in the ER. Panic flashed across his face. The professor noticed, walked over, and whispered, "Family emergency?" Tyler nodded. "Go," the professor said. "We'll reschedule your exam. No penalty. Go be with him. No appeals. No humiliating hearings. Just simple humanity." The new policy was working. Every Friday, Maya and Alexandra met at a small cafe in Maya's neighborhood. Alexandra insisted on coming to her side of town. One afternoon, Alexandra slid a tablet across the table. 863 applications so far, she said. Compassionate Action Scholarship candidates. Read a few. Maya scrolled. Students who stayed overnight with wildfire evacuees, who intervened in domestic violence, who missed exams to help crash victims. "There are so many," Maya whispered. "There always were," Alexandra said. "Now we finally see them," Alexandra added, squeezing her hand. "And we're doing something real." "We're not alone either," Maya said. She walked to clinical rotation at Philadelphia General, passing the same corner at Market and 15th, where everything began. Someone had painted a small mural on the pharmacy wall, two hands reaching toward each other, haloed by bright color. Underneath, in neat letters, "Kindness happened here." Maya touched the painted brick, smiled, and kept walking. A block later, she spotted an elderly woman struggling with heavy grocery bags. The woman's breathing was shallow, face flushed. Maya didn't hesitate. "Ma'am, can I carry those for you?" she asked. The woman's shoulders dropped with relief. "Oh, honey, thank you. Most folks just walk on by." Maya took the bags, slowed her pace to match the woman's, and walked her the 3 blocks home. She glanced at her watch. 15 minutes late for clinical. "At the nurse's station," she explained. Her supervisor nodded. "Good call, Carter," she said. "That's what nurses do. People first, schedules second." On Sunday, Maya rode the train to Baltimore. Ruth's new facility was brighter, funded in part by a stipend from the foundation. Her grandmother's room walls were plastered with clippings. Maya at the hearing, Maya with Alexandra, headlines about policy changes. "Baby, your mama is grinning herself silly up there," Ruth said, as Maya stepped in. Maya curled up beside her on the bed. "I'm graduating in May," she said. "Top of my class. Job offer already. Pediatric emergency at Children's Hospital." Ruth blinked. "Emergency? That's heavy work. And that's where people need help most," Maya said. "Where seconds matter. Where stopping really changes everything." Ruth nodded slowly. "You're going to be the nurse who doesn't walk past," she said. Maya smiled. "I already am, Grandma." A year later, news montages told the story. At Penn, the Compassionate Action Protocol had quietly reshaped campus life. Students stepped in during crises without fear of academic execution. Across the country, 43 universities adopted similar protections. Movement sparked by one student spreads nationwide, one anchor said, over a map studded with pins. State houses took notice. 3 states passed Student Good Samaritan Protection Acts, ensuring students wouldn't be punished for stopping to help in emergencies. Policy change is rippling across higher education, another report said. Maya, now proudly wearing RN on her badge, staggered off a 12-hour shift in the pediatric ER, exhausted but exhilarated. She headed to the bus in a safer, slightly nicer neighborhood she now shared with Tasha, now in law school focusing on civil rights. A familiar sound cut through the street noise. Rhythmic helicopter blades. Maya laughed, already knowing. The same sleek black Kingsley Foundation helicopter descended toward the community lot, neighborhood kids cheering. Someone had painted a bright yellow circle on the concrete. Kingsley Landing Zone. Mrs. Rodriguez from the old building waved her arms, calling in Spanish, "Eleanor está aquí." The door slid open. Alexandra stepped down, grinning, a folder tucked under her arm. Maya walked over, shaking her head. "You know regular people just text when they want to talk, right?" she called. "Where's the drama in that?" Alexandra shot back, saying, "This is big news," Alexandra said, pulling her into a hug and then handing her the folder. Inside were legislative drafts and notes. "Congress votes next month on the federal Student Good Samaritan Act," she said. "Your Senate testimony pushed it through committee." Maya flipped through, eyes growing wet. "Federal," she whispered. "I thought we were just fixing one campus." "You changed how people think about responsibility," Alexandra said. "Law follows culture. You helped shift culture." She laced her fingers through Maya's. "Come on, we're celebrating tonight. Victor's meeting us, and Daniel from the board," Alexandra added. "Tasha's already at the restaurant. Your grandma will be on video call, front row." Maya looked around the courtyard, the painted landing zone, the kids waving, neighbors taking photos. She thought of that first cold Thursday, the split-second choice to run for the bus or listen to a stranger's faint plie. She looked down at her hospital badge, at the RN letters she'd fought for. Somewhere, a camera light blinked on as someone started recording her. "If you're watching this," Maya said, looking straight at the lens, "you're going to face a moment like mine someday. You'll see somebody who needs help, and you'll have somewhere else you're supposed to be, class, work, plans you don't want to cancel." She leaned in slightly. "I'm not special. I was just the one who stopped when everyone else kept moving. That's all." Alexandra waited patiently beside her, letting Maya own the moment. The background hum of the city faded as her words settled. "Here's what I've learned," Maya continued. "The world doesn't change because of grand speeches or perfect policies. It changes when ordinary people refuse to look away. When one person stops instead of stepping over. When enough people do that, systems have to catch up." She smiled, a little tired, a lot proud. "Be that person, the one who stops, the one who says, a grade, a meeting, a deadline can wait. This life can't. That's how we got here. That's how we keep going." Text appeared under the clip as the creator's voice chimed in over footage of protests, hearings, and quiet moments. The Compassionate Action Foundation has now supported 863 students across the country, the narrator said. 43 universities have adopted protection policies. The federal Student Good Samaritan Act is moving through Congress, all because a 22-year-old nursing student named Maya Carter decided not to keep running. Images flashed. Market and 15th, the mural, Maya in scrubs, Alexandra at the podium, students walking out of class together. Maya's story began with one choice, the voiceover continued. Ignore a stranger bleeding on the sidewalk and make it to an exam, or stop and risk everything. The clip replayed grainy footage of Maya kneeling beside Alexandra, hands slick with blood. She chose to stop. That choice reshaped a university, sparked new laws, and protected hundreds of students who might have been punished for doing the right thing. The video slowed on Maya's smiling face outside the hospital, then faded back to the creator's studio setup. "So," the narrator said, leaning closer to the camera, "what would you have done in Maya's shoes? Be honest with yourself." Comments started pouring in even before he finished. "If this hit you in the gut, drop your thoughts below," he added. "And if you want more real stories about regular people creating massive change, hit follow. Share this with someone who needs to hear it." He smiled. Because somewhere out there, another Maya is about to face that split-second decision. Let's make sure she's not alone. The video cut back to the creator in his cramped studio, ring light reflecting in his eyes. "All right," he said, leaning closer. "You've heard Maya's story. One ordinary person, one impossible choice, and a ripple that reached Congress. So what about you?" Comments flew up the screen. "Drop your thoughts below. Would you have stopped? Be honest." He smiled. "If this shook you, share it. Follow for more real stories about people like Maya reshaping the world. Until next time, be the one who stops. Lesson 1. Choosing people over comfort. If you are in your late 60s or 70s, you've already learned that life often shrinks down to a single, quiet choice. For Maya, that moment came on a cold Philadelphia morning. Catch the bus to the exam that carried her whole future, or kneel on a dirty sidewalk beside a bleeding stranger. Many of you remember similar crossroads: a neighbor's fire, a car wreck on a back road, a widow down the street who needed a ride to the doctor. Maya reminds us that the soul does not retire. At any age, the real test is simple. Will we walk past suffering or stop, even when it costs us something we can't easily replace? Lesson 2. One steady voice can shake big systems. Older Americans know how heavy institutions can feel. Universities, hospitals, government offices with long lines and colder hearts. Maya was just a broke nursing student in worn-out shoes, standing up to deans, lawyers, and trustees in tailored suits. Yet her steady voice, joined with Alexandra's resources and the courage of other students, forced a powerful university to change its rules. If you ever marched, wrote letters to Congress, or signed a petition at your kitchen table, you know this. Truth. When ordinary people link arms, even the biggest doors finally crack open. Lesson 3. The legacy you leave is written in moments like these. By the time we're grandparents, we talk a lot about leaving something behind. It will not just be money, houses, or the family photo albums tucked in your living room cabinet. Your true legacy lives in the stories your grandchildren hear about you. Maya's story shows that the legacy of a whole generation can be rewritten by one young woman who simply refused to look away. The question for those of us with gray hair is this: are we cheering on the Mayas in our lives and giving them the support we once wished we had? Friends, after hearing Maya's story and these 3 lessons, I'd love to hear from you. Think back over your own life. Was there a time when you chose to stop and help someone, even though it cost you time, money, or opportunities? Or maybe you still regret a moment when you kept walking because you were scared or rushed. What would you tell your younger self or your grandchildren about that choice today? Please share your experience in the comments. Tap like and subscribe so we can keep learning from one another's stories and passing this wisdom forward.